Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Endless Celts Podcast. I'm joined by Ross and John. How are you both?
All good,
Very
mate.
good, mate.
Good
to be
to
back.
hear it. And
Good to be back.
it is good. Good to be back talking Celtic again as well. It's been a long time since you've been last on, John, so good to have you back again. And also, the people in the comments have got Alistair Jack, Anthony, Ryan Kelly's in, Phil McGinley. And just to kind of talk about this wee second, Alistair Jack said he loved the CL show, the Champions League Rewind that Anthony done. But unfortunately, at the moment, it's down due to copyright, but hopefully we're going to get that sorted out. And then firstly, I want to come to John. There has been some changes within the channel, so over to you.
Just firstly, the Champions League thing. I apologise about that. Like we what we've done is we added the Champions League intro for like 2001 at the start of the episode, and YouTube's immediately picked it up and gave us a complete. They blocked the video completely, so on copyright grounds. So what we're trying to fight that, and UEFA they are at it, mate. It's fucking ridiculous for a 20-year-old 30-second clip. Peace. Brown Warrior, cheers for that, mate. Hector. So just a couple of, like, as people probably who watch us regularly know now, we hit 1,000 subscribers, so big massive thanks to everybody who's continued to support us and subscribe and everything else. Obviously with that, hi Ross, just point at the middle of your screen, mate.
No.
But so as people know, when you hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, you can apply to become a YouTube partner. Now I know a lot of people have got reservations about podcasts and stuff like that becoming YouTube partners because they think they're selling out or whatever the case may be, but that's not the case. Everything that we do and everything we put out and now and forever will be free. Like, we're never going to do anything contrary to that. But what we have done is we're going to take advantage of the monetization thing, obviously, because it gives us an opportunity to make, even if it's a small amount at no cost to you, it gives us an opportunity to make some. It's going to take ages to make anything worthwhile, but it is better than nothing. And anything we can get to reinvest back into the podcast to continue creating quality content is obviously a good thing for us. But there is the opportunity if people can afford it. We know things are, the cost of living at the minute is an absolute fucking joke, but if anybody can afford it, you can get a membership to the channel now. Costs 99 pence a month, whatever the case may be. If you can afford that, again, entirely optional. We're never going to ask anybody to pay for anything. So I just want to again just say that those options are now available. Thanks to anybody who takes them up. But again, the main thing is you guys just coming here and spending the night with us when we're on and continuing to support us. So cheers for that.
Definitely.
100%, man. And the reason why we got the 1K was you guys as well. So as John said, big thank you. And your speech kind of echoed a bit of WWE there. They're like, now, Len forever, always free, love it. Good eye reference. Yeah. But here we'll get stuck right into the Celtic chat and obviously the Rapid Vienna again. I'll start with you, John, because Roscoe down the bottom didn't get a chance to watch it.
Just before you, I do want to applaud anybody who's looking at this guy's screen. He doesn't know how to fix it, and I apologise for the low quality.
Shut up, will you? They can hear me.
It's supposed to be a professional, Stephen.
Blurred lines.
They can hear me, and that's good enough, right? We're all right. We're flying. We're up and going here. But John, as I was going to say, Ross didn't get a chance to see the game, but he's seen the highlights and the goals, of course. But again, this Rapid Vienna game, friendly in all terms, but it definitely didn't look that way. Both teams were getting stuck in. Obviously, there was a bit of needle there. Obviously, previous games, the famous battle game and stuff, and replayed in Europe and all that kind of hoo-ha as well about it. But just as we always do, a quick overview of the game from your point of view. How was it before we get into the goals and things?
Yeah, but it's scrappy. I mean, but early pre-season, I don't think anybody expected anything less. A much bigger step up as well in terms of level of opposition compared to Victoria Vienna, who we destroyed. But I think it was always going to be a pretty tense affair anyway, just because, like you say, is the history between the two clubs. And you seen that when you were watching it. It was a bit scrappy. There was quite a lot. Players were taking digs at one another. Mate, it's so bad.
I've no idea.
But it was. I mean, I wasn't expecting. The thing is, for pre-season for me, it's just an opportunity to get guys minutes back in their legs, get back up to match fitness again. So I don't take too much stock in the results or performances at this stage, especially given the fact it's only the second game. But I mean, by all accounts, it was a pretty scrappy, pretty. I mean, it wasn't the best game to watch, but I mean, there was a few goals. There was some moments where we played really good football, and there were some where we were quite terrible. But again, it's pre-season and it's very early doors. I don't think, and the amount of changes as well that Postecoglou was making through that side in both halves, I think you'd be absolutely mental to expect anything like. I don't know what people were expecting, but I've seen a lot of comments. I'll leave it at that.
Never going to live this down here. This whole. And Shaquille, whenever I still can't get it into my head, right? Just leave it be.
Shaquille, it's absolutely astonishing.
But John, I do agree with what you're saying. In terms of the game quality, wasn't great to be honest. There was a healthy crowd there, which is probably to be expected, obviously, with the history, Ross. And you've seen the goals. Let's be honest, and you've seen the progress there before the podcast, but. In terms of the Celtic goals, starting with, what was like the pick of the bunch for yourself?
Well, I wouldn't say there was any one that stood out more than the other. I thought that the three goals were all good goals. You could look at, obviously, O'Reilly's one, and he takes it as O'Reilly does, with confidence and a bit of class. It's a classy finish. He just passes it into the corner. Kyogo, similar, a good touch, and another, again, it's a calm finish passed into the corner. But then you look at the Turnbull one, I'm sure it's, I might be wrong, I think it was maybe Carter Vickers that played the ball over the top, and then Kyogo picks it up out wide, puts a good ball in, and Turnbull is doing what Turnbull does, good support and run, getting into a good area, and he gets his goal. I was going to say it's not the most difficult finish. It wasn't an easy finish, but he gets into the position and gets his goal. And they're all good goals in their own right, different types of goals, and that just sort of, that's what Celtic's season was like last year. They scored all types of goals, and that the goals in that game were no different. We're laughing at the best 16. Aye.
Stop it.
Stephen's recording on a Mega Drive.
Go ahead, Ross, as you were saying.
I was basically just saying that the goals that they scored were all different types. They were all types of goals, and that's what a lot of Celtic season was built on last year. They scored all types of goals for pretty much all over the pitch, bar Starfelt, and the other day was no different.
Yeah, I think as well there were some quality finishes. I think O'Reilly, John took his goal really well. Bottom left corner is kind of caressed. And I actually wanted to have a bit of a debate about this. O'Reilly and Turnbull, both our attacking midfielders scored. And usually it was either one or the other. Obviously, Rozic was in the mix last season. Turnbull was out until the end of the season and he got a few games and stuff. But get into it already, Turnbull. Who would you prefer at the moment? Obviously, Turnbull's been linked with a move to West Ham. I think rumoured £10 million, but that's kind of fell in ashes. There hasn't been no discussion about that in a couple of weeks. But at this present moment, who would you be getting with in a season into the Champions League? Who would you be your main starter?
Out the two, O'Reilly.
O'Reilly.
Listen, I rate Turnbull, and I think he like that when we first started doing this, that season we lost to 10, he was a standout, despite the fact that the season was absolute mince. And he had, by all accounts, he had a fantastic season last season. I think with Roger leaving, it's opened up the doors for both of them to get a lot of game time, because we know Ange likes to rotate. So I think we're going to see a mixture between Hatate, Turnbull, O'Reilly, and possibly even Idiguchi in the mix as well. But I would start, I suspect, or my feeling is that Postecoglou would probably start with O'Reilly.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think it's great to see them both scoring. And like Kyogo getting in the mix again, being back in, I think you made a great point. And he laid on Turnbull for his goal, and then Turnbull returned the favour us. And then you look at it with the likes of Muir starting, Jala was starting, Giakoumakis. I think our attack intent was for clear to see. We'll get into the defensive side of things later on in the show. But in terms of what you've seen from the goals and things, and people are still giving me grief in the comments or my camera, I have no idea what it looks like. on my screen it looks fine. But
It looks
O'Reilly and
terrible.
Turnbull,
It really is, like.
it can bode well for a good season choosing between them two, doesn't
He's actually lagging now, I think, as well, John.
Aye,
Are you taking the
No, I think you are, because you were talking to me, and then it's like one of the dubbed karate movies for years ago.
Did you hear what I said? But
Aye, so you basically asked me about O'Reilly and Turnbull, essentially.
like a great rotation option between them two.
Aye.
We're both getting on the score sheet.
I think it's that's what the majority of our squad it's going to be like. I think obviously you look at the left back and the right back positions. The goalkeeper, I think, will be rigid. The centre half position partnership, will be rigid. But I think for the most part throughout the season that the rest of the team will be like chop and changed to like we've said before to play the fixture. But if you ask me right now who I would say has got the slight edge between Turnbull and O'Reilly, then I would have to agree it would be O'Reilly. I just think he's got a bit more about him. He's all-round game. But when I first heard that rumour about Turnbull maybe going to West Ham for £10 million, initially I thought, I mean, still, you can't, £10 million not to be sniffed at for Turnbull. But I think where the squad is at the moment, I know we are quite stacked in the middle of the park. I think that if we did let Turnbull go, I think it would be fairly difficult to replace him. What's happening here?
Just keep going. This is absolutely shambolic.
Can't even mind what I was saying now. Totally
You were
lost.
saying about O'Reilly and stuff being a great option. You choose O'Reilly, 100%.
No, I was talking about Turnbull, and if he did go to West Ham, I was thinking initially that 10 million for him, you couldn't. That's not to be sniffed at. But I think if we let him go at the moment, the way the squad is, we are stacked in the middle of the park. But I still think he'd be a difficult player to replace, purely because now I know McGregor can probably play a bit further forward, but if we lost Turnbull, that would mean we'd lost Turnbull and Rogic, and I think that's difficult to lose the two of them. I think I wouldn't want to let Turnbull go at this stage.
Oh,
I wouldn't want to let Turnbull go at this stage. I think it's a tough one. He's no the first choice, but I think for me it's between him and O'Reilly for that sort of more advanced berth out of the three. And then you can look at McGregor; he can play that, but I think he'll generally play that number 6 role. And obviously Adeguchi can come in and play that at times. But I don't think you'll see. I think you'll see McGregor playing the 6 or the 8 if Hatate's not playing and Adeguchi comes in. But for the most part, I think he'll still play the 6. So for me, if you lost Turnbull, that only gives you essentially one option in the more advanced of the 3. So I wouldn't want to see Turnbull going unless I knew we were getting somebody similar ilk. If not, if we could get better, it's tough. But I would like to know that we had somebody coming in before he went. But again, I think there's a place in the squad for Turnbull, and I wouldn't like to see him go.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And just to clarify, am I crystal clear now? Can you see me okay?
Nah, it's a mess again.
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Right, but as I was going to say, I mean, I mean, you make a great point regarding Turnbull. I don't want him to leave personally. And he actually brought up a good point in terms of McGregor. They're playing the 6 or the 8. And in the comments, there was a comment about getting a bully, the kind of centre midfielder, that CDM who can break up play and play it well and play it forward and stuff. John, I think that's a priority for Celtic to get over line. Obviously, we lost out in Sousa, the Brazilian. But
I mean, I think we've all said it. And I think just the general consensus among Celtic fans is that we need a proper sort of like hardy defensive midfielder just to sit back. And again, what that does is it allows Calmac to move forward, and then you've got another option as well. And that's his preferred position as well, I think. So, aye, it's an absolute priority. We need to get somebody in. But these reports linking us with Moy need to stop, man.
With who?
Moy.
Aaron Moy.
Aaron Moy.
Oh, Aaron Moy, you fucking idiot.
No chance. I wouldn't have Aaron Moy. Hey, he's past it. He's like 31 now.
I would agree
way.
that we need to be looking further afield, and like I said, the Sousa thing falling through was a wee bit sad because I think he's meant to be like he comes with a bit of a reputation, but I mean I trust Angie. Like I think he's going to be on the ball, and I'm sure he's probably got a short list of people in that position that he's looking at. I can't see. I mean, I know there's a link with Australia, and he was linked with us at the start of last season and that as well. But I mean, he's not got it in his legs to play that role in that kind of tempo that Ange plays. So it doesn't make any sense for that respect. But I mean, people were saying it as well. Why not give Adiguchi a chance in that role? Because I think you've got a player there who's capable, like Brown Warrior said, and like. You might as well try him there, right? Like, what have you got to lose at this point, especially during pre-season, and just to see what sort of feel you get with him playing in that position. But I think a new player, a new signing in that sort of role is paramount, though, definitely.
I seen us being linked with an Argentinian, Fiera, the centre defensive midfield player, plays for Argentinian juniors in the league that Burnaby came from, Ross, and I think Brian Murray makes a good point. Idiguchi and John as well could be that man to play there. But if you look at it overall, maybe a centre defensive mid, that bully type player, as I said, a bit like, I mean, someone come in there, Stevie Boy. We need a brownie at the start of his career. Is that the type of feel that you get to fit into that system just to make it go that extra step?
Possibly. Certainly, this time last year, I was desperate for us to get a ball-winning centre midfielder to come in and replace Brown. I mean, I've not seen enough of Adiguchi to say he can be that player. But to me, I think that's what he's been sort of brought in for, to play that role. I think that time will tell on that if he's going to be the man to do it. But I think what will give us a big clue if he's going to be good enough to do it is if Ange doesn't try and get that type of player in and goes with him, then you obviously have to trust that Ange believes he can do that job. Mm-hmm. I think you have to look at it as well, and we certainly for Europe, I think we need that type of player again. It might be Adiguchi, but certainly in Europe, I think we need that type of player to protect our back line and sort of break up the play and start attacks. Because I think we alluded to it yesterday. You find, and I'm hoping that it isn't the case this time around, but Celtic away from home, and certainly in the Champions League, they lose their heads really quick, and they just need somebody to be that calming influence and take a wee bit of the pressure off the defence and give them a breather and stuff. Because we're going to be more attacking, certainly, but we're not going to have all of the ball like we do domestically. And I think that people forget about James McCarthy. He's not been by any stretch an amazing player if he came in, but he's going to probably get a good pre-season under his belt for the first time in a long time. I'm not saying he should be in the first 11, no at all, but I think he could be a sort of quite important player for us this year, in the sense that when we're maybe trying to see a game out, even in Europe, domestically, whatever it may be, he can come in and shore up in front and come into a game and just break things up and start attacks and just slow things down. And I think he'll be an important player to do that. Can he be the guy that is the central defensive midfielder? I'm not so sure. But we've got two options there when you look at it in the squad now. But it's whether they're at that level that we want to get to. Time will tell on that. But without knowing how good any of they two could be in that role this season, I would say at this moment in time, not looking at the squad every day like Ange and the coaches and that do, I would say, aye, we do need to get a central defensive midfielder in. I would like that to happen. But if it doesn't, I'll trust Ange that he's he believes that one of they two can do that job.
I think there's something in it when the majority of our transfer rumours are linked to players who play in that role. And I think you're right to bring up McCarthy. I mean, he's all know my opinion. I think everyone, I've said it in this podcast a million times, I don't think he's a Celtic player. I think he got there on a kind of a favour from Dermot Desmond towards the end of his career. You don't hand a 31-year-old a 4-year contract who's been sitting on the injury table at Everton for 2 years. It doesn't make sense. But again, to counter that, there has been reports he's come into pre-season, looked sharp and he's looked fresh. So you could be right, Ross. He could come in with that experience. He could be sitting there alongside McGregor, Hatate, O'Reilly, whoever it may be, and Idaguchi as well. But I think it is vital that we do bring a kind of a midfielder with a bit of physical presence. What I noticed against Rapid Vienna was sometimes we were overrun in the middle of the park. I know it was pre-season, and it's easy for fitness and excuses to come into play there, but get into European football and them types of fixtures need someone to take a bit of scruff in the neck. And yes, Cal McGregor does that, but someone to help him would be good. And we'll get stuck into the defensive side of things, John. I've seen you on Twitter having a wee go with somebody in terms of what you thought and Uragidi and stuff like that. We'll get on to him. But just to talk about the goals in general, the first goal was a pass back to Joe Hart that Joe Hart misread. I think Carter Vickers hit it a bit too hard at him. Didn't get the sprint going. He got tackled. The ball was put in empty net. Uragidi caught sleeping at the back post for the next goal as well. And then Christopher Julian losing his man. Wee bit of problems there still, isn't there?
I mean, as I said at the start, I'm not taking too much stock in shit like that at this point because, like I said, it's only a second game of pre-season. People, they're just coming back in. You're just wanting to get match fitness back up. I mean, it's not about the results and the performances. You want players to perform, absolutely, but it's no paramount. It's like these are games that are set up just to get players back up to match fitness and get them sharp again. So, like I said, it's only a second game of pre-season, so I expect that's going to improve significantly. As for their goals, though, that see this pass back carry on. Now, I've said this numerous times on this podcast and on various forums online as well. It's like I get that we want to build out for the back, right? And I'm saying, I say it all the time. We were lucky at points last season that we weren't caught out by passing it back like that, because there was times where it was very, very close and we managed to get away with it. Rapid Vienna, again, it's pre-season and Rapid Vienna aren't the greatest side, but if you try something like that against a quality team like Real Madrid in Europe, man, they're going to fucking absolutely leather you. And we need to just cut that part of the game, especially in Europe anyway. We need to cut that part of the game out. We need to stop dicing, like passing the ball about the back and letting, because these big European teams will press us. They're not going to sit back like the SPFL teams do and allow us to play out for the back. They're going to be on us for the first whistle. And again, we're going to get punished if we keep playing shit like that. And like I said, people take... it annoys me because there's a lot of Celtic fans already jump on players' back saying they don't deserve to be here, they had a shite performance. I don't think anybody had I mean, Turnbull had a good game, Kyogo had a good game, but by and large, performances were pretty subpar for me against Rapid Vienna, and the people are jumping on people's backs at this stage is absolute madness. I think that we know how good Carter Vickers is, and we've seen it last year. He's absolutely solid, and he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet, right? He's guaranteed, his spot is cemented. But he was at fault for losing that first goal because he needlessly passed it back when they didn't need to. And Hart was sleeping, he wasn't expecting it, and we got punished for it. And this is the kind of thing that I'm saying we need to cut out, because higher caliber teams are just they'll take full advantage of that, and it'll be embarrassing. As for the other goals, I think it was the second half. Bain was in goals, and again, it was another ball into the box. I think Bain done well to make the save for the first one, and it came back. Julian was caught kind of sleeping again. He wasn't picking up his man, and he obviously got out in front of him and managed to hit the ball into the back of it. And the same happened again for their third goal. Julian got beat. But again, like, Julian's not played in ages. People taking far too much stock in like these sort of pre-season games for me, and they just need to kind of chill out a wee bit.
Yeah, 100%. I get what you mean. And then you got Patrick McLaughlin comes in and needs to tell Joe in these big games to put the ball up to GG and kicks and flick-ons and things like that. But Ross, I have a different view from John, right? And my granda who's watching, he'll be like, what are you talking about? Because he agrees with John in terms of passing out from the back. It's a bit ski with sometimes, but I think it's brave, right? We've heard Postecoglou tell us loads and loads of times they're never going to deviate from his plan. And you heard him when the players did. He was shouting, he was on their back. So the players have to do that. And you don't see the likes of Man City, the PSGs, the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas altering their style to suit a team. It's one way for them. They play that system, and that's the way they go. Yes, they will get caught out sometimes. That's fair enough. Celtic will as well. But to give credit what John was saying, there was needless pass backs from Carter Vickers. There was passes to the left and to the left and right hand side of him to make, but he ended up going to Joe, conceded the goal, which is fair enough. There was no need for that. But it's brave to keep going like that, and you learn from it. And there's no point going back to loud hoofball in Europe because it's just not good to watch. And Postecoglou, for me, is a man who won't go from them principles regardless who tells him.
Well, I know exactly where John's coming from, and it is heart in the mouth stuff at times. I'm a bit like yourself, Stephen, in the sense that Postecoglou, that's the way he wants him to play. And I know they've been doing it for a year now, but they're only human. They'll still make mistakes. There has to be that happy medium. Not even a happy medium. There has to be an element of understanding, like when it is a bit too much, you're overplaying it here. I know he's asking them to do it, and he'll take the flak, Ange. But at times you have to understand, and read the game yourself, because you can't be coached at every second. And just sometimes you do need to get rid, or sometimes the way a game's going, where you're maybe under the cosh, you can't just keep playing out for the back all the time. You need to put it long. It's not the way we want to play, but sometimes you have to play the game in the moment rather than just keep. But we know that Ange is not going to deviate from his principles. I'm not going to tell him how to do his job, but there has to be. You have to get it in the middle. I agree with what John's saying, but at the same time, they've only been doing it a year, and they're going to get better and better. But there is, it's never been Joe Hart's game. I wouldn't say, I never watched the game, but I wouldn't say he was fully to blame for it. I thought what I seen, it looked like Carter Vickers. I think for the highlights, what I seen, it looked like it was Carter Vickers' only option at the time, because he was put under pressure by the Rapid Vienna player. He's if he gets the pass right, we're not talking about it, but he's overhit the pass, and so actually it wasn't the style. In a sense, it was just that he didn't execute the pass right, and then Joe Hart thought he had it under control. You could see him pointing to whoever the other defender was. I'm going to get this and play it to you, kind of thing. But then sometimes it happens. The striker slides in, wins it, and it just makes both Carter Vickers and Hart look very silly. But
yeah,
it's going to happen at times. Last season, we went through an entire season playing that way. There was a couple of hairy moments. We maybe, I don't even know if we conceded 2-3 goals due to the way we were playing. I think most of the goals we conceded were set pieces. And I go back to what I've said previously. I do understand that a lot of the support think we aren't very good at defending set pieces, and there is an element to that, but I think that most of the goals that Celtic lose domestically are going to be for set pieces, because the domestic teams are not going to play through us. They don't get enough of the ball, and they live off of set pieces against us. You're going to concede goals for set pieces, but I understand that, well, they've conceded another one for a corner. They need to get a bit better, but I think on the face of it always looks a bit worse, because the teams we're playing against live off of set pieces against us.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about that second ball, isn't it? Fight for that, they'll get the free kick and pump it into the box, and then hope for the best from there. I think Strange of the doctor, playing out from the back is the way to go. So we just need to keep working it until they become second nature, pumping the ball to the park in the reserve case of emergency pre-season. Nope. And John, coming to yourself, you did mention a few names there, and Alistair Jack actually said it further up the comments. Sorry, I can't find it, Alistair. That Chris Julian needs to get out of the club because he wasn't good enough, basically. And I talked about Uragini and Julian in the last podcast, obviously after the game when we smashed that team 7-0. And I said, who would you rather prefer, Partner and Vickers until Starfelt comes back? I picked Uragini. But on the basis of what I've seen, I have to agree with much of reading on Twitter and things like that. I don't think both of them are good enough for Celtic Football Club. The step up on the opposition really showed, in my opinion. Julian looked really slow. Like I said, that style doesn't suit him. At points in the match, he was playing up front. He wasn't tracking back to help his centre back partner out. Uragini got caught out twice in terms of run up the goals. The second one was basically his fault for sleeping on the back post. And I know you're a big fan of Uragini. You think there's a player in there, but what's your opinion of what you've seen and what you've heard so far?
I think the comments regarding his performance are ridiculous because Carter Vickers didn't have a good game either, and I don't see anybody saying, "Oh, he shouldn't be wearing the jersey. He was pish." Like, he was at fault for the first goal with the pass back and that. And like I said, Urigidi's been on loan in Belgium for 6 or so months. It was half a season he was away, or whatever it is. And you're playing in an entirely different system, in an entirely different country, under an entirely different manager. You're coming back straight into pre-season with Celtic, and you're trying to adapt again to Ange's tactics, Ange's style of football, the pace, the pressing and all that. It's going to take time, and that's what these pre-season games are for. People are far too judgmental and far too quick to jump on a player's back and say, so-and-so isn't fit to wear the jersey. Like, Urigidi's been getting it tight, and I don't understand it at all, because when we were playing competitive football last season and he got his chance against Betis, he was superb, he was phenomenal. And like I said, these guys, what was that?
Stevie Boy. It's on the screen now.
Aye, spot on. Sorry, I missed that. But like I said, it's only the second game of pre-season. I think Urigidi was the only player on the park that played the 90 minutes, and like, the fact that he got the 90 means that Andrew obviously wants to get the time in his legs, and like I said, I think he definitely looks a player. He's solid on the ball. He made a few mistakes, like everybody did, but people on the jump on Carter Vickers back for the mistakes.
That's different.
No, it's not, because you're getting somebody a pass because they performed well last season, and then you're jumping on the back of a guy who's he's barely wore the jersey, saying he's no good.
Agree with that. You're bang on, John. I agree with that.
It just doesn't make sense for me. Like, there's been so many players come through the doors at Celtic Park and don't get an opportunity for whatever reason. They're maybe not giving games, but see, when they're given a chance, it's in pre-season and people are attacking them and jumping on their back, it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And that the same goes for Julian as well, by the way, because we know how good Julian was. See, before his injury, before he smashed his knee, he was superb in defence. He was an absolute rock, and not a single person in that club would have been like, I don't want Julian playing for Celtic. He gets injured. He's out for a significant period of time. He tries to get back. There's a lot of talk about this shite that reports that I think they translated some fucking French interview that he'd done, and as the Scottish mainstream media today, they like to print a lot of shite regarding, he said he doesn't want to be here, he wants to move on. Like, fuck off, man. Don't get me started on Scottish media. But listen, there's still a player in Julian, and it's absolutely ridiculous to state otherwise. Did they have a good game the other day? No. A lot of players didn't, as I says. But if he's given time and he's given the opportunity, then you got to give him the chance, and I firmly believe he'd come good. The same as we said with Starfelt. Everybody was on Starfelt was back after 2 or 3 games last season, and now they're like, no, Starfelt's a man. He needs to, like, it's just madness that Celtic fans are very, very guilty, and I've said this before, and I might get a bit of backlash for it, but they need to just chill out. They're so fickle, and I think we're guilty of being spoiled, because for the past for the past decade we've dominated right in the league and everything else, and I think there's a lot of younger generation of Celtic fans that are coming through who have known nothing but success, so the second things look a wee bit bleak, or there's a wee bit different to what they're used to. The first thought is to say, he's not good enough, get him out, we need to do this, we need to do that, and this, that, and the next thing. It's just madness to me that we're attacking players second game of pre-season. For what?
No, I mean, I'm not attacking players, and before actually,
I'm not saying you though.
No,
just generally, like, you see it.
It's the knee-jerk reaction at times to one bad performance or one mistake. There needs to be an element of calm
Yeah, 100%. And just before I get into the game, Anthony Dunn points out this great discussion from the boys so far, and within the comment section too. You're a good bunch. 100% agree. It's great to see everyone getting involved in the debate. And Brian Muir saying to me as well that Celtic scouted Julian with the best stats in the French league and things. I 100% get that. David Ferguson, Ross, he's kind of in alignment with me. Doesn't matter how good Julian was. He's not good enough now, and he won't fit into Ange's system.
But David,
again, that's what.
Come answer this question, right? You're saying it doesn't matter how good Julian was because up until his injury, it was superb. He's not good enough now based on what? Where's that basis coming from? Is it because he's not played? Is it because you've not seen him playing for a while? Is it because he's coming back for a serious ligament injury that you don't think he's good enough? Like, where's the justification for saying he's not good enough?
I think he's in the similar train of thought as Stephen in that I don't think you don't think he suits Angie's style.
Yeah, well,
I think that's
don't think
David's.
Based on what though? Have you seen him play many games in that format?
I'm not saying no.
I'm only asking. I'm only asking the question because
don't fucking come at me.
Am I here? Am I here? Am I here?
I'm just saying though. I mean, and listen, I'm only asking the question because I think it's a decent debate to have. And what's the harm in talking about it and saying like, what's the point in us all fucking agreeing with the same thing all the time? I'm asking why.
I'm fucking going to tell you why. You haven't let me have a chance, for fuck's sake. I think, in my opinion, and I'm not going to speak on behalf of David, and he comes in here, he actually says he's rapping with the ball at his feet. I kind of disagree with that. I think that's one of
Julian's strong points. Do you know who else was shite with the ball at his feet? Bobo Baldi. Bobo wasn't a football player. He was shite. See, in terms of actual ability.
Could Bobo have played in Angie's style?
Probably not. But like I said, it's a different style of player.
You'd still hate him though, eh?
Aye, you would give him the chance. You certainly wouldn't be right him off just because
Aye, well, this is the thing I've got. I don't think Bobo Baldi would completely fit into the way Ange plays. But if you ask me, would I want Bobo Baldi to sign for an Ange Celtic team? Then the answer's aye, every day of the week. I don't care if he can play the style or no, he can defend.
Exactly.
But then that takes away from the whole principle side of Ange. He said it before. He's not going to sign someone for the sake of it. He's not going to keep someone for the sake of past kind of glories. Julian, of course, was a fantastic defender. He scored some vital goals, League Cup final, Lazio. You can rhyme off the sheet he's done. He's won a league title, cups and stuff with Celtic Football Club. But in the tactics, I'm not down him as a player. I'm not. I still think he's a solid defender. He's a great box defender. He can pass the ball. He's good at that. He's good technical ability. But he doesn't have the speed to push up in the halfway line. He looked laboured. I know it's pre-season, John, before you say again. I know that.
It's pre-season, Stephen.
But listen. he's had since he's come back from his injury in the last part of last season to get fit, keep going and continue that trend. He doesn't look fit one bit. He looks laboured and slow.
He needs games.
Can I finish the point?
Right, aye. Go for it, Stephen.
And I just don't think that he's quick enough. Yes, as a defender in an individual sense, he's a great defender. But for the style of this is where I'm merely coming from. For the style of play, Ross, that Ange plays, he will not suit it. Likewise, Urquidi, he does have the speed, but he's absolutely honking, in my opinion, on the ball. He was caught out loads of times in that game against Rapid Vienna, and someone brought up Burnaby as well, but we'll not get into him because he's only literally come into the country, give him a chance to settle.
Okay, so it's alright to give Burnaby a pass.
Well, I think that I don't agree. I think Julian is good enough still to play for Celtic. Whether he should play before Starfelt, I'm not sure. But I think at the moment he needs. Let's see. Don't know. But I think he needs games, right? I've been asking for him to get a chance. This is the best point, yeah. I've been asking for him to get a chance to get games. I understand that he couldn't be given that towards the tail end of last season when he came back, but I want him to get minutes in pre-season. He needs to get his fitness up, and the only way he can do that is by getting minutes. It was the same last season. I'm not hanging just at you, Stephen. There was a lot of guys getting on James Forrest back. James Forrest needed minutes. He needed games of football. He couldn't be given it. And that's how any time he did come in, he looked unfit, he looked laboured, because he wasn't fit. He wasn't match fit. He was ready to play football, but he wasn't match fit. You get match fit by playing games, and that's what James
Absolutely.
Forrest needs. That's what Chris Julian needs. And then without the benefit of hindsight, I think when he does get that, if Ange wants to keep him, I think he could be a very, very good player for Celtic. Right now, if everybody was fit, Starfelt's got the jersey, absolutely no doubt about it. The partnership he built up with CCV was there for all to see towards the end of the season. They were the best defence in the league. But for me, I think Julian can still play a big part, the same as Turnbull, in this squad going forward. Again, if we get rid of him, we're left with Urquide, we're left with Stephen Welsh. And again, I say it, Stephen Welsh has not put a foot wrong, but is he the level we need going into Europe and etc.? Probably not. It's no slanting him. It's just where he is at the minute. If we get rid of Julian, a £7 million player who has got qualities that you have just said on this pod, Stephen, all the qualities he possesses, to get another defender into our team of that quality, I think is very difficult. I think we've actually said that about Carter Vickers, made the argument for why he was a massive signing and needed to be signed, because the type of player he was, it's difficult to get that into the team. Celtic have struggled for years to get that type of player, and I think it would be the same. It would be difficult to replace Julian in the squad, and I think that for me, I think we should keep him and see if he can oust Starfelt. If he can't oust Starfelt, then Starfelt's doing everything right, in my opinion.
Aye, 100% agree. And again, just to reiterate, I'm not down on Julian as a player. I'm just merely coming from a tactics point of view. And John, Egyptian King comes in here with a great point. Urquid's uncomfortable at right back. We should definitely test him out in pre-season at centre defensive mid and see how he gets on, because there's a player in there. What do you think about that? If that experiment happened, would you be for that one?
I would try it. I mean, I would also try him at centre half. He played centre half quite a lot as well, and I mean, you can see with his size, he's solid, right? And there was like some of the tackles. Maybe his first touch wasn't great, but he fought for some of the balls, the second balls, and he was absolutely bullying some of the guys. He's strong. He's got the size to sort of hold his own against anybody, really. And if you follow him on any social media and all that, the guy's constantly working to improve and better himself. And like I said, he just needs a chance. And I think there's definitely a player there. You can see it through any games that you have watched him previously, highlights him. Like there's a player there. So playing him at centre defensive midfield is, I mean, it would be an experiment, certainly. But I mean, at this point, what have you got to lose? In pre-season, this is what pre-season's for trying things like that out. I just want to say as well, somebody mentioned in the comments, Welsh probably no being Celtic standard, and I would agree to a certain extent. I said the same about Greg Taylor as well. Like, see, in terms of like SPFL level, I think Welsh should do a job, no bother. And that Celtic side, I think he's solid. And with this season coming up, when you've got 6 games guaranteed in the Champions League and you've got cup games coming up, and Andrew's going to want to rotate, and because we play a high tempo, high press, and we never stop, is what we're always hearing as well. These guys are going to get tired. So guys like Welsh are going to be perfect to come in and play a role and like to get like to maybe give somebody's legs at rest, for example. So I mean, I think in terms of that respect, I think he's all right. He's safe, but it's just one of the things. There's a lot of things we could do, and there's a lot of positions that players you could move players in and out of different positions, like we've talked about. Ideguchi, Hatate as well. Did he not play left back? Like he's got that.
Yeah, he used to play. You thought he was a left back.
Well, when he first signed, because that was the sort of you tell. But he's played left back. I mean, what Ange has done is he's building a team with players who can play a variety of different positions. So we're never going to be stuck. We're not going to be like it was with
Cal McGregor at left back against.
Under Lennon and that a couple of seasons ago, where you had players just being flung out of position for the sake of it, and you're like, that isn't going to happen under Ange, because I think no matter who, if you get an injury, you've got somebody who can come in, or you can make adjustments to the squad in order to play that. But we've never seen these guys play it, so you could turn around and say, oh, it's potentially a risk. to play like a Hatate at left back, for example. Let's just say something happens and we've no left backs, Scales is away, etc. You can try it. We know he plays there, but it's a risk. So, going back to the original point, it's not like me to deviate. Back to the original point. When somebody like Urugide, and like I'm a fan, and I think there's definitely a player there. So, there's no risk and there's no harm in trying him in pre-season in a centre defensive midfield. Can I see it happening? Probably not. I think he's more suited to a centre back than a defensive mid, but it remains to be seen.
I do, obviously, I wish Urugide and Julian well their new clubs when that happens before the end of this transfer window. That's a wee thing there,
Brown, I understand what you're saying, Brown. I'm not saying specifically that these guys done, like, Lennon's the only one that was guilty. Like, I'm talking about managers prior to Ange didn't have backups in these positions. We never had depth like we've got now. And the point I'm making is Ange now seems to be signing players who they're not just suited to one particular role. They've got many strings on their bow, so to speak. So you've got a player who can maybe shift for like left to right in the defence, like left back. Like Juranovic, he can play left back, he can play right back. Hatate, he can play that sort of midfield role, or he can play left back. You've got your strikers who can play across all the front three. I'm just talking about in terms of depth, it's a lot different, and we're not in a position where we were in previous seasons.
Yeah, I think as well, McGregor played on the left-hand side of the midfield free before against Rangers in some of them games under Rodgers for his work rate and things, so it can work in some instances playing it outside of position, but not left back from McGregor, no way. Egyptian King comes in. We all wrote Ralston off, and look how he made his either words. I think Urugide will do the same. And David Ferguson made an interesting comment. Well, David Ferguson in the comments made an interesting one saying that Bosan Lawwell, the film McGinley corrected me on, he's in the comments as well, that he thinks he's even ahead of Welsh and the likes of Urugide at centre back. Would you agree with what you've seen of him?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I only seen him briefly in the first friendly, because I only seen like part of that. But what I did see him, he looked quite assured and confident on the ball, which would obviously suit Angie's style. I don't know if he's quite. It's hard to say because I've not seen enough of him, but he's maybe not quite ready yet. He's still what age is he?
He's only 19. I think he's young. Like,
listen, he certainly could make the step up at some point. Will it be this season? Probably not. But then it depends on. And well, put it this way: if we get rid of Julian, he could make the step up and come into the squads, if you like. I'm not he wouldn't be a starter, but at the moment you would have to say Julian probably wouldn't be a starter. So if Julian goes, he might be the guy that makes a step up for the B squad. If Julian stays, you might find that Lawwell or Law, whatever it is, he might spend another season in the B team with wee kind of sprinklings getting into our match day squads, maybe for cup games just to keep him in amongst it, sort of thing. But again, it all depends. See, that's the thing. We all like the transfer rumours and stuff, but you like to get to the end of that window and be settled and know exactly going forward who your squad's going to be.
Yeah, I think we are forgetting as well the likes of Dane Murray. He's obviously has a long-term injury and hope he comes back from that fitting well. He could fit in there for a couple of games this season. And you look at the kind of the baseline, John, you've got the likes of Julian, for example. You've got Carter Vickers-Starfelt as like the main experienced defenders that we'll have. Do you think, just to kind of round off this kind of debate, a centre-back is another area that we need to target and sign a strength and depth in?
That depends entirely on any your outcomes. Like I say, if you retain Julian, then I'm fully confident that he'll fight for a place and he'll push Starfelt and CCV for a starting spot. And like I say, you've got to say Urugide, who can play centre back as well. And again, if these boys are given the chance, I don't think we need to sign a centre back. There's other areas I would like to see us improve first and foremost. And by the way, that's a shout, Alistair. We've not seen
William would like that.
Exactly. But I mean,
here we go again.
But it's another player we've not seen that much in. When we had seen him last year in pre-season, he looked decent, and by all accounts, I don't see why these guys can't have a role at the club. But there's other areas I feel that we should be focusing on. I don't think centre defence is one of them, unless of course you've got the like, say, if you decide Urigidi's not going to be the man, and Julian leaves, then bring somebody in, and I'm sure that there's contingencies in place where Ange's got names ready and stuff like that lined up just in case anything like that happens. But I don't see it's a priority at this point anyway.
Yeah, I think Egyptian King comes in here, Ross. I seen you pointing out about Ben Davis, and I mean, I get that. Ben Davis was linked last season. He got us moved to Liverpool and things, but I mean, once bitten, twice shy, that type of thing. He didn't come the first time. He was guaranteed first team football. I think it'd be kind of good going back in for him again that he rejected us the first time, regardless of what club he went to.
I've not really got an issue with him doing what he done because who he went to, it was Liverpool. I mean,
yeah, but he wasn't guaranteed football there though. He was guaranteed football at Celtic.
I understand that, but I mean, maybe he believed in his own ability and thought I can break into this first team. I mean, if you're given the opportunity to go to Liverpool, one of the top teams in Europe, certainly at this moment in time, it's hard to knock it back. So I understand why he done it. But again, now with hindsight, he probably feels a bit daft. But he maybe believed, he's maybe got like a lot of self-confidence, believed he could make the step. He hasn't. But again, it's a shout for a player to come in. But I go back to it. I don't think we need to prioritise a centre back unless Julian goes. Then you're talking about that. But at the moment, Julian's there. So for me, that is not the top priority.
Fair enough. I was going to show Kaiser's comment there, but he went a bit full hen there, like, didn't he? As a cracker, though.
Right up, that comment's right up your street, Stephen. Can I say as well, just talking about the sort of defensive options, if we know just signed or on the verge of signing that left back for St Mirren, the young boy as well.
Was he not a midfielder, that laddie? Dylan
Reid.
Dylan Reid.
I thought he was a left back. Sorry.
So was
in either case, though, I mean, it shows that we're still signing young guys, and like I think other clubs that were chasing that boy was, I think Rangers were after him as well, but Benfica was another one. So he's obviously rated. I don't know too much about him, to be perfectly honest, but I just thought I'd bring it up.
It's good to kind of boost, obviously. He'd probably straight into the B team in terms of her development. But again, me personally, I know you guys are going to laugh, but I would go for Porteous or Mugabe. I like them too. I think they're good defenders. Like that's the. I would bring them in, like, and give them a shot. No, I do. I think Brian Porteous has the potential to be good if he kind of cut that ill discipline out of his game, because he's quick, he can play a pass, and he's a leader. He's Hibs captain this season, or he's captain in a few games anyway in pre-season.
Stephen Welsh. I think he's better Stephen Welsh.
I think he's better Stephen Welsh. I think he 100% is.
I don't fucking think he is.
That's fine. That's fair enough. That's your opinion. I'm just saying. But John, just to kind of move into this midweek game here against Banik Ostrava, I think I'm close to that pronunciation, but anyone wants to correct me, fair in. And we're led to believe it's going to be nearly a sold-out game. Their ultras have sold out, obviously, their section. The fans are piling in. I think Postecoglou referred to this as well against Rapid Vienna. He liked to see the crowd there added intensity instead of feeling like the normal kind of domain pre-season game, passing the ball around like a training exercise. This, for me, gets the players up to speed more quicker, in my opinion.
How big is the stadium, though?
It's 15,000, I think.
Right.
It's still.
No, I thought you was going to tell me and say like there's some sort of pub team where like 2,000 they're sold out to 2,000 seats or something. I was like, well, but no, I listen. I don't know anything about this team, and I'm again, it's a game that we should be going into. Result doesn't matter. Just get minutes in your legs, man. Get your match fitness up. Get that sharpness back. I expect we'll win. But what do you want me to say about it? I don't even know who the fuck this team is. I can't even pronounce the name either, so I'm not even going to try.
I was wanting to emphasise how good a crowd is for the players, for the atmosphere, for the pre-season field, but no, it is. Sure. Shove it up your arse, John. I'll go to Ross.
Comment on it. I said how many fans is it?
I
thought you were going to say.
So
I thought you were going to tell me that
he is. He don't rip you apart like.
Driest guy in the planet.
But no, I mean, fans obviously make an atmosphere. Kind of questions that. Do you think fans?
Ross,
do you think fans help the atmosphere?
Help me out,
John,
Ross. You know,
John's drier than the Rangers fans at Europa League final.
I'm sweating and everything. Sweating.
Ross, just coming at you. Do you think fans add to the atmosphere?
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, that's not entirely what I fucking mean. And you know that. You know fine rightly that's not what I meant. But I'm going to leave it there because, fuck me, he gets took off in all angles here. Quickly, score, and as we always say, first half lineup prediction for this game.
Oh, do they play in the same?
The same league.
The same league as Rapid Vienna. Lineup, I think. Well, it was Hart and Bain that featured, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Probably it might be Siegrist that starts and goal. I think it'll be CCV. Julian might start. Fuck knows. Is Ralston fit? Is he fit?
Yeah, apparently he's fit.
Aye. We'll go with him. We'll go with Taylor. Midfield 3. McGregor. Maybe Ideguchi, McGregor and O'Reilly. Front 3. Forrest, Jota, Giacomakis.
And score prediction?
3-1 Celtic.
Like Egyptian king. And John, yourself, without being a dick, score lineup prediction.
Like Ross, man, we could sit and name anybody and it could potentially be right. I think, like Ross, I agree, Siegrist might start because Hearts started both the last two, and then Siegrist and Bain have had their half bit. So I think Siegrist is probably a shout to start. Listen, it could be anybody. I'd like to see Urigidi at centre half with Carter Vickers. I don't know the situation with Juranovic, but if he's fit or whatever the case is, then maybe get him because he's no featured yet. Greg Taylor at left back. I mean, fucking hell, I'm just rhyming off players.
Right, just go to your score prediction there and you fucking need it.
What do you put everybody to sleep?
4-9. I mean, you're asking for a pre-season fucking friendly. You're going, who do you think you start lineup when
Andrew's like first in?
I don't know.
The first half, but sure. Well, we can't get it over you, John. You're kind of rebranding yourself as a dickhead, so everyone knows that.
Monty, that's green.
Oh man.
Right, I'll go with
next time I'm on Muse, I'm going to bring a fucking whistle.
I'll go Siegrist like yourself. I'll go Juranovic to play a part. I'll go Carter Vickers, and I'll go Lawwell beside him. Burnaby to start. Cal McGregor, Hatate O'Reilly, Mieta, Jada, and Kyogo to start this time, and I'll go 4-1 to Celtic. And I was corrected in the comments. This team is from the Czech Republic, so there we go, and a 15,000 seater. But before we go, John, remind the viewers and stuff. Obviously, people will catch up of the changes in the channel just before we head off.
I just as I sort of touched on at the start of the podcast, we've obviously had 1,000 subscribers now, so a massive thanks to everybody who's continued to support us, all the new guys that have come in. We've noticed our sort of viewers have increased, and there's a lot more sort of interaction in the chat and that as well, and it's fantastic for us to see because, like I say, we're not like other podcasts and that. We don't try to be. We're no professionals or none of that. We're just six boys who love talking about it. Nah, of course we're not. We've never claimed to be. But listen, we love this. We love just talking about Celtic. We love a bit of debate as well. We're no that sort of cut and dry, like the same fucking. We all agree in the same sort of thing. We like a bit of debate. We argue with one another. Like fuck, it's we're just normal guys. In terms of the actual channel itself, though, like I said, everything that we do is always going to be free. We're never going to ask for money, or we're never going to charge for anything. But because we've had 1,000 subscribers, we've got the opportunity for partnership now. And if anybody can afford it and is happy to support the podcast, there's opportunity to do that through this sort of membership options where you can sign up 99 pence a month. It's the lowest it's set at. So again, we're not expecting it, we're not asking for it, but if you do it, thanks, because we'll reinvest everything back into this to get Stephen a new camera and stuff like that. So it's so aye, listen, and we say it all the time, but it means a lot to us that you guys come and spend your Monday nights and Friday nights or whatever it is. And and we done that on Sunday. We clashed with the Bhoys bus. Apologies for that. There was mix up in terms of slots for us as well, because everybody's got stuff on. We can't, sometimes these things can't be helped. We done a Champions League special episode. YouTube decided to block it because we used the Champions League theme in the song as part of the intro. It's been disputed, but if you've got Spotify, Apple, whatever podcast, you can listen to that episode on there anyway. But hopefully it's back on YouTube soon.
100%. And David Ferguson kind of rounds it up here, Ross. How boring would it be if we all agreed? I actually really enjoyed that debate tonight. Have you yourself enjoyed it?
I have. It was great. Great laugh as well. And just watching you two going at it, it's superb, man. Don't know how you couldn't like that.
That was good, man.
Good. Really enjoyed it. And obviously the guys in the comments and that, it seems like they're enjoying it too. It's a bit different for, like John says, everybody just agreeing. And aye, that's it.
100%. Again, appreciate all the support and all the comments, all the interaction. We'll be back on Friday with the reaction to the game on Wednesday. Hopefully it's a positive result and not much talking points about the centre defence, or else John will explode. But until next time, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.
Toot, toot.